Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out to the 2013 Football Media Day. We really appreciate you guys being here, and we're excited about this season. The way we'll get things started today is I'll bring up head coach Asberry and defensive coordinator Michael Veit. They'll say a few words and take a few of your questions. Afterward, we'll go to the locker room where you have a chance to talk to the players and do one-on-one interviews with them. But first, a couple things I want to talk to you about. We had 2 schedule changes this year. The Jackson State game, the Jackson State away game, will be on Thursday, September 19th at 6:30. That game will be live on ESPNU. And our home game against Southern University was moved to Friday, November 1st at 8 p.m. We did that to avoid a potential conflict with the Dynamo. The Labor Day Classic is our first game of the season against Prairie View A&M. That game will be played here at BBVA Stadium on August 31st at 7 p.m. The news conference for the Labor Day Classic will be Tuesday, August 27th at 11 a.m. That'll be here too. And the Touchdown Club Labor Day Classic luncheon will be Wednesday, August 28th at noon. That will be at the Power Center, which is located on South Main and South Post Oak. One other thing, for game day photographers, you will pick up your photo bibs in the press room. We won't be picking them up at will call. You'll pick them up and drop them off in the press room on the first level. Any questions?
The restrictions from the end zone shooting, is that still on or not?
Let me check on that. I haven't got a definite answer yet, but I'll have that for you before the season. And when I'll send out information on these items that I discussed as we get closer to the event. And our protocol is over here on the side desk, but I need to address that question, Evan. Anything else? All right, let's get it started. Let's bring up head coach Asberry.
Good afternoon. I bring greetings from my president, Dr. John Redley, and my athletic director, Dr. Charles McCullough, and the rest of the Texas Southern family, as well as my coaching staff. This is going to be a great year. We're very excited. I want to go over a couple things, but the first thing I would like to do is I'd like to introduce my defensive coordinator, and I'll bring him up, let him answer a few questions. He'll talk about the defense. Then I'll come back up and answer any of the questions that you all may have for me. Tell you a little bit about my defense coordinator. I felt that it was a great move that I brought in Coach Veit. I tried to hire Coach Veit when we were at Shaw University, but the timing wasn't right. We go back to when I was 17 years old as a football player at Jackson State, and he was at Southern University, and we had some great runs against each other. He was, of course, the coach, and I was the player. Had the opportunity to get the job here at Texas Southern, and Coach Veit, after making the coaching change with my defense coordinator last year, it was a no-brainer for me where I was going to go with it. Talked with Coach. We got everything together. I wanted to make sure it was fine with his family to make the move, and it was a go. So I think this is a very exciting moment for me. I can say this before I bring Coach up. I haven't felt this good since Dr. McCullough introduced me as the head coach of Texas Southern University. So I think we're on the right page. We're headed in the right direction. We did have a little scrimmage on that Thursday, and they kind of got after us pretty good. So I see why I brought him here. At this time, I'd like to bring up Coach Michael Veit.
Thanks, Coach Asberry. Everybody out in the audience, I appreciate being here. Mr. Bush, I appreciate you. But most of all, I appreciate those young men right there, because those are the guys who are going to get the job done. We're going to direct them the way we need to direct them, but these guys are going to get it done. I'm happy to be here. Like Coach says, we go back a long ways. And he tells a story him as a player, he's the only quarterback from Jackson State to beat me. But that was on a questionable call anyways. But we stayed in contact. He became a coach. We stayed in contact. We became friends. Had a lot of respect for each other. But, you know, I appreciate him giving me the opportunity to come here at Texas Southern University. I came down here for a mission to help him and the team to accomplish our goals. You know, this time was the right timing to go with the man I respect. I talked to my family. My son's going to be a senior this year in high school, but he said, "Dad, get back in the saddle, go with Coach, make something happen." Okay. But I'm very positive. I like what I see out there right now. We're teaching the young men the way the game's supposed to be played. Yeah, we had a good day Thursday, but hey, we got a mountain that we have to climb, and we got to take steps up the mountain every day to get there. And these young men are working. Now, some of them, you know, they're young men. Okay, they're going to make some mistakes. We got to correct them, and we got to go forward. But I'm very encouraged what I see out there on the field. In the meeting room, I gave them a test this morning, and just looking through it a little bit, they're picking up the finer things that they need to pick up. So when they get out on that field, it's going to be automatic for them. So, you know, I'm very excited. I'm excited about this whole team, not just the defense, but the whole team. But from there, you know, 5th day of practice, we got a long ways to go before August 31st.
Any questions?
Yes, sir. I have one. Basically, it boils down to the new rules and all. You've had a week to see what you got. Now you've been through some drills and all. The new defensive changes in NCAA as far as targeting and crowning the element. How are they adjusting?
Well, I mean, crowning the helmet, if you really teach the kids the proper way of hitting and running through somebody and tackling, you've never used the crown of your helmet. The helmet basically is for protection. It's not a weapon. So if you teach it properly, then they're going to be fine. You know, I'm not going to take the aggressiveness away from the defensive players. I want them to be aggressive, and they're going to hit properly, and they know that. I mean, football is football. Sometimes you can't. If an offensive player lowers their body and you hit it a certain way, I mean, you can't control that. When you're out on that football field, I mean, you're going to let your body go loose. But these young men are going to be disciplined, okay? But like I told the defense, they're on a leash right now, okay? They're on a tight leash right now, and we got to be smart in practice. But we're still going to be aggressive. The rules, you know, we got to conform to the rules, but if you teach them properly, the rules won't affect us.
Hey, Coach, last year, there was some issues with defending a long pass. What's your strategy for that for this year?
Well, like I told the defense, I wasn't here last year. I don't care what happened last year. This is a new year, and we're going to do what we have to do this year. So I'm not worried about last year.
For this year's strategy, what's the key there? Is it defensive pressure on the quarterback, or is it?
No, we're going to play sound, fundamentally technique football. Okay, if it's zone or if it's man, we're going to play sound, and the guys up front know that, hey, whatever we do, those guys are the backbone to this defense. So number one thing is we're going to stone the run first. Okay, I'm most worried about stoning the run, and then everything else will take care of itself.
Where do you see your strength in your defense? Is it like defensive backfield, linebackers?
Right now, to be honest with you, I can't say. You know, hopefully it's up front, okay, but I think we have talent in all three phases, but it's too early to tell right now.
What is the basic defensive formation?
It's a 4-2-5, okay? A 4-2-5, it's 4 linemen, 2 linebackers, 5 defensive backs. You know, that one defensive back, he's a safety, he's a hybrid type of person. So he can play a few different positions.
Anyone else? Yes, which one do you feel right now is the biggest key to the defense, I mean, as far as the players that you have? Is it more size or athleticism, or size or speed?
No, to answer your question, it's running to the football. 11 guys running to the football. That's going to be our success. If we got 11 guys running to the football, we're going to have success, because when you run to the football, good things are going to happen. They may break a run for 15 yards, but if we're running to the football, I've seen it many times over, okay? When we played Jackson State, coach was a coach, he was an assistant coach. They broke a long run, little hitch pass, went down the sideline, backside corner, came across the field. We stopped them on the 7. A couple plays later, my little linebacker knocked the ball out of the running back, and we got the ball back. So if we have 11 guys running to the football, then we're going to be successful. Thank you very much.
At this time, I would like to introduce these young men that I brought along with me, that I feel that on and off the field, the character is going to exemplify our performance and our play. And these young men understand the stress, the importance of they're not just a football player. They have to understand it. To be in this room right now, you have to, you know, you living as a football player, you're living as a student athlete, you're living as a young man. Somebody's son, my son is at practice every day, and he's watching these guys, things that they're doing. And they need to understand, and I think we're headed down the right path with them understanding that they're not only touching the fans, they're not only touching me as a coach, but they're touching little kids. And they need to understand the importance of putting on this Texas Southern uniform. It's not just to say I'm a Texas Southern football player, but we're talking about building young men for life. So at this time, I want Fred Plummer's wide receiver, who was here last year, E.J. Perkins-Levin, Trey Walker, Tevin Wilcox, Greg Brady. I always give Greg a hard time. He's from California. And that's an area I don't too much recruit, but he's holding his own. Billy Rosenberg, he's a basketball player and football player. I tell you about Billy. I always get on Bill. I say, if Mike Davis asks you to run and do something, you're going to do it. But I got to fuss and I got to holler and all this. But Bill is a good kid. Malik Cross, some kind of way he followed me from Shaw. I have I don't know how he got here, but he followed me from Shaw. His mom and dad dropped him off, said, Coach, take care of him. Bloom is one of these hybrid guys Coach talking about. I've been meeting with Coach Vike, and we've been kind of deciding where we're going to play Bloom. He's a defensive end. He's very athletic. He can play, put his hand in the ground. He can play standing up as well. But the most important thing, Bloom's also a 4.0 student. Our quarterback, Homer Kazi. Homer's another young man that I guess he jumped in the car with Malik and followed me from Shaw. But let me say this about Homer Kazi. And I told him this: when the light cuts on in his head, it won't be a quarterback in the country that can play like this kid. And I'll say this: I've watched him as a 17-year-old kid. I went in his house and recruited him. When he decides to understand the light cuts on in his head, our quarterback problem has been solved. He's that type of kid, he's that type of person, that type of athlete. Shipman is a receiver that has gotten his degree. Let me say that. And I told him in meeting the other day, I said, don't you just come back to be average. You've already gotten your degree. You could easily go get you a job if you're just gonna come back and go through the motion. He's been the most consistent. He's been where he's supposed to be. He's been a leader. Really, all three of these guys. You know, you remember the Dallas Cowboys had the big three. Well, we're gonna have more than the big three offensively. I'll tell y'all that when I finish introducing. Devion Porter, young man that was ranked one of the top 5 running backs in junior college football coming out. And I'll tell you how this thing works. And I told him and his parents this. He was ranked one of the top 5 junior college running backs coming out in the country. But when he signed with Texas Southern, he dropped to 25th. Now, that's not right. But like I told Davion and his parents, we're gonna show him why and where he's supposed to be ranked. Because, some folks look at us as just a small school, and I have a problem with that. And I'm gonna leave that alone before I get a fine, Mr. Bush. And my linebacker, Jarris Moore. Now, as a freshman, they didn't want to play Jarris last year, but I had to stand on the table for him. We're gonna play him. He was one of the best linebackers along with Billy Parker that we had last year. And he's really, really matured. And we want him to continue to grow as a young student athlete. These young men that I just introduced will be the face of the program, along with the rest of those guys. We have a whole new look with the restraints that we're under. We talk about it all the time. When you have to rebuild the whole program, you have to kind of pull and try to patch the size, the positions that you really need the most, get that taken care of, and hoping that these young men here will stay healthy along with the rest of the football team. It is a concern with our depth. The biggest thing we just need to do right now is stay healthy, be smart in practice, and get through practice, get through training camp. And if we can get them to the field August 31st, then we're gonna let the chips fall where they may. Any questions?
Tell us about the season. What you see our season shaping up to be.
Well, it's still early for us. We didn't have a spring. Coach and I was talking about that on the bus coming over. So we were trying to cram a lot of things in without getting anybody hurt, without getting anybody, seriously banged up. But the most important thing was this spring we had about 54 kids in summer school. And that was very, very important. We hired a new strength and conditioning coach, Marshall Hayes. He's done an excellent job with these guys. I thought that was real important because we could not be in there with them. So by Dr. McCullum blessing us with the resources to be able to have these young men here for training for summer camp and summer school was very appreciative. The season, we're just going to try to be sound, play sound football, don't beat ourselves, don't turn the football over, and every point counts. Get points whenever we're in the red zone. For us, offensively, the 35 plus 35 is the red zone for us, and we need to get points out of that.
You have the open competition at the quarterback position, and you mentioned that there's no spring ball. How difficult is it to try to fill that position when trying to cram in so many plays and get a proper evaluation for your quarterback position?
It's real difficult. It's so difficult that I had to hire 2 quarterback coaches. So we have 9 quarterbacks. So it's real difficult. And I tell you, the young freshman quarterback, Jay Kristoff, he's really looking good in practice. So, we have a lot of toys to play with. And, once we can really sit down, next week we'll scrimmage tonight, and then next Saturday will be our last scrimmage. and then we're going to start game planning and try to figure out where we're going to be, who's going to be what quarterbacks we're going to redshirt, because it is a lot of talent at that position. And we do plan to redshirt some guys for the future, because in 2 years, Kazi, Smalls, and Carrington will be gone. So we need to prepare for the future as well.
Coach, you talked about the big three in Dallas. You gonna mention that after you get through speaking earlier?
Well, the beauty about this year in the backfield, we have Lovin and we have Porter. So it feels real great to have those two guys. And when you're talking about two guys that can flat out run, it'll make the play calling a little easier now once they get in the secondary. So these guys can really get it done. You'll see times where you're going to have both of them in the backfield together. And then when you add Fred Plummer and Malik Cross and Shipman and my tight end to the matchup, I feel real confident. So, you know, I said, and I'll say it again, I told Dr. McCullough, I'm excited. Just to say we didn't have spring football, I mean, I'm very excited.
Coach, one more question for you. Looks like your next home game after August 31st is October. On the road a lot. How you keep your guys' head straight?
Well, if we can get off to a good start, which I know we will, and we stay healthy coming out of Sam Houston, you know, we'll just be the greatest show on turf. You know, so if we like the circus, we on the road again. You know, and I'm looking, and these guys, I told them, give me a reason to brag. Give me a reason to talk smack. But I can only talk as much as they. If they allow me to talk, then I'm gonna talk. So it's on them. We're gonna put them in the right position to make plays. And I keep stressing discipline. And you know, look at Arkansas Pine Bluff football team last year. Coach Coleman did a great job. But I think the most important thing he did was they were a disciplined football team. They didn't make a lot of mistakes. He didn't have to suspend any players for doing wrong. And that kept the team together. And that's what we want to try to do here at Texas Southern. Keep these guys together. Don't put us in positions where we have to make decisions, and just play as a team. It's about the team, all three phases of the game.
Yes, sir, Coach. Can you talk to us about your offensive line and your kicking game in terms of where they are, strengths and weaknesses on the team?
Well, offensive line-wise, we'll start there. We're a young offensive line. We redshirted a young man last year, Brandon Charles. He'll be playing this year. We do still have Kenny Hall and we call Kendrick Williams. I'm sorry. Yeah, Big Baby. That's what they call him. We still have those guys coming back, and Marvin Holly will be our center. We have a young man that's about 6'4", 6'5", Glenn Jackson. I'll be starting at a right guard. And you know, we still have some young guys we signed. We signed a young man, Adrian Jackson from Longview. You know, and we'll be very young at that position, but we have 10 good linemen that we can kind of lean on, but we have to develop them. So that's why it's important. I know I put the pressure on Coach Veit that we play good defense early. And once we can do that, give those guys a chance to develop, we'll be fine. We signed a kicker out of LaPorte High School, along with the young man that we have coming back from last year. Then we still have our long snappers, tight end, Zach Ferris. So I feel good about our kicking game, like our chances. Thank you.
Thank you.